Krishna Premarupa Dasa. Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 9. Akshini nasike asyam iti pancha purakrita dakshina dakshina karna uttara chotara smrita paschime ityado dvaro Gudam Shishnam Iyochadit Akshini Nishkaye Asyam Iti Pancha Purakrita Dakshina Dakshina Karna Uttara Chotara Smrita Paschime Ityado Dvaro Gudam Shishnam Iyochate
Akshini Nashike Ashyam Iti Pancha Purakrita Klakshina Dakshina Karna Uttara Chotara Smrita Paschime iti ado dvarau Gudam Shishnam Ihotyate
Vaishnavis.
Akshini Nasike Asyam Iti Pancha Purakrita Dakshina Dakshina Karna Uttara Chotara Smrita Paschime Ityado Dvaro Gudam Shishnam Ihotyate
Akshini, two eyes. Nasike, two nostrils. Asyam, the mouth. Iti, das. Pancha, five. Puraha, on the front. Kritaha, made. Dakshina, southern gate. Dakshina, right. Karna, ear. Uttara, northern gate. Cha, also. Uttara, left ear. Smrita, understood. Paschime, on the west. Iti, das. Adaha, downward. Dvaro, two gates. Gudam, rectum. Shishnam, genital. Iha, here. Uchyate, is said. Purport and translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Two eyes, two nostrils, and a mouth, altogether five, are situated in the front. The right ear is accepted as the southern gate, and the left ear is the northern gate. The two holes, or gates, situated in the west are known as the rectum and genital. There is a short purport. Of all sides, the eastern is considered most important. Primarily, because the sun rises from that direction. The gates on the eastern side, the eyes, nose and mouth, are thus very important gates in the body. End of purport. Om Ajnana Vedandasya Vilanchana Shalakaya Chakshurvilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Kristam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Bhuvadamayam Dadati Svapatamikam Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we continue the description of this, the 9 gates of the body. And here we have some description of various different gates are situated. And it's described here that especially the eyes, the nose and the mouth are very important. These are the knowledge acquiring senses by which we can understand, see and these things. Now, we heard the last couple of days about how the conditioned soul is conditioned by this material body and by the mind and the senses, and how by identifying with the body and with the mind we think that we need to enjoy in this world through the senses, through the body, but actually we are different from the body, different from the senses, different from the mind. And therefore, yoga is all about controlling the senses, controlling the mind in the first place, and then redirecting the attention or the inwards, and then trying to understand that we are actually a soul, and also understanding that the super soul is within our heart, and then meditate upon the supreme absolute truth. And Prabhupada beautifully describes this in a commentary to the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, Krishna describes it beautifully first of all, and then Prabhupada comments. Krishna says in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita text 58, Yat samharate Yadha samharate chayam kurmo Nganiva sarvashaha indriya te pyas tasya prakyana pratishtaha. One who is able to withdraw his senses from the sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect Krishna consciousness. This is a description of the Sthita Pragya. Sthita Pragya is the person who is firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness, and Krishna here compares such a person with a kurma, with a turtle. Because as a tortoise can, if there is danger, just can withdraw the limbs into the shelf, and then, any other animal that attacks cannot really harm him because he's inside. So similarly, a yogi can withdraw his senses, and in this way is protected and does not become a victim of the sense objects that are very alluring, very, looking very interesting for enjoyment, but then it just withdraws the senses. And Prabhupada says, the test of a yogi, a devotee or self-realized soul, is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. So that's the Goswami. He's the master of his senses. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. So that's the Go Dasa. We have the word Dasa at the end of our name. Shri Chaitanya Dev Dasa. Right? And we usually translate it as a servant, but the actual meaning is slave. So we are slaves of Krishna. And of course, if you have a good master, then you can be a slave, no problem. If your master is very compassionate, then you can be slave in a sense, completely sold out, like completely surrendered to that master. But here the word Godasa refers to, you're really a slave of your senses, and you really have to act according to the dictation of the senses, and that's a very, very bad situation. That is the answer to the question as how to the yogi is situated. Arjuna was asking about the Sita Pragya. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. So another picture, like snakes. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. I'm sure you have seen in India. If you go to India, sometimes you see on the streets. I saw in Rishikesh, snake charmer. There's a basket, and then he has a flute. He plays the flute, and all of a sudden, the basket opens and the snake comes out, dances, and then when the music is over, whoop, snake goes back. So he's a snake charmer. By sound, by mantras, the yogi can control the snake. So similarly, the yogi should also not only control the snakes, but the senses. He never allows them to act independently, so there are many injunctions in scriptures about don'ts, what you should do, what you should not do. So he follows that. And then the example is given the tortoise that can withdraw the senses. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. And the yogi doesn't use the senses otherwise. So I find it's quite an impressive statement. No? The yogi, the bhakti yogi also, he only uses his senses in Krishna's service, and if not engaged in Krishna's service, they are withdrawn and not used. So there is no question of using the senses in any other way. Not for one's own enjoyment. Like taking the eyes. The eyes are meant to see the beautiful form of Krishna, appreciating Srimurti, and seeing the Vaishnavas and reading the scriptures, doing service. But eyes are not meant to look for some object for enjoyment for oneself. And the yogi is very clearly directing, controlling his senses in such a way. So Gorkishore Das Babaji is today. His appearance, disappearance? Disappearance. So Gorkishore Das Babaji was a perfect example of such a bhakti yogi who completely controlled his senses. So we can read a little bit about his life, and then we can also try to talk a bit about that point of sense control and especially renunciation. Namo Gaura Kishoraya Shakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambodhe Padam Bhuje Jaya Tane Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is renunciation personified. Shakshat Vairagya Murtaye. Murti means manifestation, form, and Vairagya. So he's a manifestation or a personification of the principle of renunciation. He's always merged in a feeling of separation and intense love of Krishna. Vipralamba Rasambodhe Padam Bhujaya Te Namaha. So Gorkishore Das Babaji was born in a Vaishya family in East Bengal, and as a young Grihastha he bought and sold grains. He dealt with grains. He was a very simple person. He had no education. He didn't even know how to write or read. Because he didn't need it. He was just doing his simple business. When his wife died, he left his village and walked all the way to Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, he wandered the forest for some time before settling down in Varshana, the birthplace of Srimati Radharani. There he would collect flowers every day and make beautiful garlands for Radha and Krishna. So that's how he's an eternal associate of the Lord. But that's how his bhajan started. He was married, but then his wife left early, so he took it as a sign. It's not that he just let's get remarried and get a new wife and start again. No, but he took it as a sign, okay, renunciation. And so he went and lived in Varshana. After 6 years, he left Varshana and again wandered through the forests of Vrindavan. All in all, Gaur-Kishore lived in Vrindavan for 30 years. 30 years. He was a Brijbasi. One day, Radha and Krishna appeared to him in a dream and instructed him to go to Navadvip. There he went and lived at the bank of the Ganges in a small hut, grass of banana leaves. Later on, he renounced even that and simply lived on the bank of the river, chanting the holy names on a knotted cloth. So, and now we hear about his renunciation. So, he really was very much into renunciation. He had, some taste, some rasa in living very. Nowadays we speak about minimalism. Have you heard about minimalism? There's people they try to live simple and only possess a few items. Someone sent me a link. I saw a documentary. One guy, he possesses 64 items. That's all he has. Like one bag, and all the items are black. He opens and then there's black trousers and black shirt and his computer. But only 64 items and nothing more. He doesn't have a house, he doesn't have a place to live. He's just traveling. So that's a trend. People want to live with less or simple. But no one can beat Gaur-Kishore Dasa Babaji. Because he even renounced his little bhajan kutir made out of banana leaf. So he just lived at the banks of the Ganges, and he would only have one lying cloth, and he didn't even have his own beads, like we have our Shapamala. He just took some old clothes, and then he made knots into the clothes, and that served as his beads. He was incredibly renounced. For clothing, he used to take garments from corpses at the crematorium. When a dead body is wrapped into clothes, and then, and the bodies are cremated, and maybe some pieces of clothes are left here and there, so before they're burned. So he took these clothes, washing, and then just putting them, like super renounced. For food, he bagged a little rice and soaked it in Ganges water. He did not even boil it. Okay, so some soaked rice. He took initiation from Bhagavad Das Babaji, a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji. And he had main Shiksha relation, Jagannath Das Babaji. And he had no interest in the material world, but was absorbed in ecstatic ecstasy of love of God, enthusiastically always chanting the Lord's holy names. In his ecstasy, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, and sometimes walked around like a madman. Gaur-Kishore never forgot Krishna for a single moment, and was therefore respected as an Uttam Adhikari, the topmost devotee of the Lord. So one day, Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, his preaching, he was very direct. He was not he was preaching very directly, and he expected from those who came to him the same kind of renunciation and surrender. So one time there was once a pious and very generous Vaishnava king wanted Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji to come and live in his palace. He was a Vaishnava himself, king, and he wanted the Babaji to come to Bhajan in his palace and give his association. And Gaur-Kishore was moved by the king's invitation, but sent back the following message: I do not want to go, because living in such a rich palace, I would grow to like it too much and become envious. Better you give up your kingdom and wealth and join me at the banks of the Ganges. I will build you a nice shack like my own, and together we can live peacefully, chanting the holy name of the Lord. quite expectedly, he never heard from the king back again. His expectations were just too... nobody could follow his lifestyle. So there's different little stories that speaks about his personality. Once there was a Gorkishore Babaji told to his servant, tomorrow is the disappearance day of Sanatana Goswami, so we're going to feast. There will be a big feast because we celebrate that special day. And the boy was like surprised and asked, how are you going to collect for such a feast? All the foodstuffs and items. And then he said, no, we're just sitting down fasting and we have a feast of chanting the holy name. That will be our feast. When we speak of feast, we think of sabji and gulab jamun and pakoras and samosas. But for Gorkishore Das Babaji, the feast was absorption in the holy name, chanting the holy name. And then we know that one famous pastime that some owner of a popular guest house, he was very fond of Gorkishore and he wanted to build him a bhajan kutir, but he didn't want it. So then he didn't accept that they build a place for him, but then he accepted to stay in the toilet of that guest house. There was a bad smell. And he said, I prefer to have the bad smell than all these materialistic people who come and disturb my bhajan. Like the smell of materialism was more disturbing than the smell of the material. And of course, Gorkishore Das Babaji had a great relationship to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Their personalities were quite different, but they were very close. And also, as we know, Gorkishore Das Babaji became the spiritual master of Bimala Prasad, the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who later became known as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But it was not so easy, because when Bimala asked him first, Gorkishore answered, you are such a learned scholar and you are the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Who am I to initiate you? So he was not willing to give initiation. But Bimala Prasad, repeatedly begged and begged. And then finally Gorkishore said, okay, let me ask Mahaprabhu. If he agrees, I will give initiation. Well, let's talk to Mahaprabhu. That was the kind of caliber of Vaishnava. It's not practically, he has some doubts. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Just let me ask Mahaprabhu. Maybe he will tell me. So a few days later, Bimala Prasad came back and asked Babaji if he indeed had approached Mahaprabhu. He did not give me the direct answer, Gorkishore replied, but simply said that material knowledge does not help in spiritual life. That was the answer from Mahaprabhu. So in a sense, don't worry, even if you don't have material knowledge, you still can be the guru. Bimala Prasad could understand that he was perhaps too proud of his material knowledge. He replied, since you're the servant of the greatest deceiver Krishna, whose Lord Vamana tricked Bali Maharaj into giving away his kingdom, you yourself are expert in deception. But though you are trying to deceive me, I will not let you go. If you refuse my initiation, I will put an end to my life. Bhaktisiddhanta was quite determined. Gorkishore Das Babaji was very pleased by the young man's humility and his sincere determination. He agreed to accept him as one of his one and only disciple. And of course then is the final pastime and the passing of Gorkishore Das Babaji, which also is quite a well-known pastime. In the year 1915, Gorkishodas Babaji passed away, and Bhaktisiddhanta, who was the only disciple, came from Kolkata and found the local Vaishnavas, mostly the Sahajas or pretenders, fighting over the dead body of his Guru Maharaj. They all wanted to build his samadhi close to their homes in order to increase their reputation and their earnings. No, they knew that if I have the samadhi of the Babaji in my temple, then people will come here and I get a lot of money. So Bhaktisiddhanta became extremely angry and forbade them to do anything. They, however, insisted that he could not set up the samadhi since he was only a brahmachari and not a sannyasi. Bhaktisiddhanta, who is also known as a Singha Guru, Lion Guru, challenged the pretenders. If any of them had no improperly touched the body of any woman in the last 3 days, they could come forward and claim the right and establish the samadhi of his beloved spiritual master. They fell silent. Because most of them actually were sahajas. A few people who stayed remained Bhaktisiddhanta of the last wish of his Guru Maharaj. He had expressed a desire to have his dead body dragged through the streets of the holy Dham in order to be purified by the sacred dust. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati retorted, "Nobody is going to drag his body anywhere. I will carry him on my head, just like Mahaprabhu carried the dead body of Haridas Thakur." With these words, he alone emblemed the body of his beloved Guru Maharaj. Yeah, and in Krishna Lila, Gorkishodas Babaji serves as Guna Manjari. So Gorkishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. So these are some of the quite well-known pastimes and aspects. So to conclude, maybe we can just, because Gorkishodas Babaji is the Vairagya Murtaye, the personification of renunciation, maybe we can just talk a few words on the principle of renunciation, because he was the one who really gave an example in a perfect way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach this world devotional service, and in this way also to establish true knowledge and detachment. Vairagya Vida Nisha Bhakti Yoga Shikshartam Eka Purusho Purna Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dari Kripa Budhiryastam Aham Pravadye. This is from the Chaitanya Chandra Daya Nataka by Srila Kavi Karnapur. Let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us Vairagya Vidya Nisha Bhakti Yoga, real knowledge, his devotional service and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because he is an ocean of transcendental mercy. Let me surrender unto his lotus feet. So Mahaprabhu came to teach true renunciation, and he condemned false renunciation. There is a nice song, it's called Shriman Mahaprabhu Sata Nama, which describes 1,000 names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like we have the Vishnu Sahasranam, describes 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. So there is also, it's 100 Satanam, not 1,000. So there is a song with 100 names. Vishnu we have 1,000, 1,000 names of Vishnu. Mahaprabhu we have Satanam, 100. And in this song it says, Kasi Bhasi Sanyasi Udhari Prema Datta Amarkata Vairagya Dandi Echandala Trata. He delivered the Mayavadi sannyasis of Kashi, and he is the bestower of love of God. He is the chastiser of the false renunciates, Markata Vairagya Dandi. And he is the savior of everyone down the lowest of the class of men. So he is known as the Markata Vairagya Dandi. Dandi means thumb stick beating. and he chastises who? The Markatta Vairagi. What are the Markatta? Markatta refers to monkey. Sannyas monkey. Yes. Because the monkeys, and Bhaktisiddhanta explained, monkeys make an external show of renunciation. What are the external show of renunciation? They don't have any clothing, they live naked in the forest. Like sadhus also do, right? I mean, some Nagababas, they live naked, or almost naked, they just have some lion clothes. They don't have anything, and they live on the trees. So monkeys do the same. In this way, they consider themselves renunciates, but actually they are very busy enjoying sense gratification with dozens of female monkeys. They may look like renunciates, but actually they enjoy a lot, because usually one male monkey enjoys many female monkeys. There's like one male, he's the boss, and he has a lot of female monkeys around him, and he enjoys sex all the time. If you're in Vrindavan, sometimes you see, I mean, you're not supposed to see it, but sometimes you just see it. Some monkeys engaging. So that's why the term Markatta Vairagya refers to someone who externally, looks like, but actually he is not really. Prabhupada says, the word Markatta Vairagya is used by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to indicate so-called Vaishnavas who dress themselves in lion clothes, trying to imitate Srila Rupa Goswami. Such people carry a bead bag and chant Hare Krishna, but at heart they are always thinking about getting women and money. Hare Krishna, women, money, money. Like the mentality is still very much attached. Unknown to others, these Markatta Vairagis maintain women, but externally present themselves as renunciates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much opposed to these Markatta Vairagis, or pseudo-Vaishnavas. So that's one term which is used for false renunciation, Markatta. Then there is another one, which is Sama Sana Vairagya. What is Sama Sana Vairagya? It's the renunciation on the crematory ground. Like this week, unfortunately, we went to a crematory. And if you see that body, usually become very thoughtful. Well, one day I will. Now everyone is crying, and everyone is saying what a nice person he was. But one day I will lay there in the coffin, and my family members, they will cry, and my friends, they will tell what a nice person I was. So, if you're there, then you reflect, like, oh, the person who left is not so old, I could also, I could die also any moment. So then that becomes like what becomes renounced. Oh, I have to become serious. Yes, I have to become serious. But then 2 weeks later we have forgotten and we go on with our usual business. So that's also a very temporary renunciation. And then the third term that we know is Falgu Vairagya. What is Falgu?
Fruit. A river.
A river, yeah. Phala means fruit, that's right. But Falgu in this means it's a river in the holy city of Gaya. But Gaya is a place where there is a footprint of Vishnu, where also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went for his last rites, Shraddha ceremony for his departed father. And it's where thousands of Hindus go every day to visit the temple of Vishnu. And there is a river, and that river is called Falgu. On the bed of this river, you will find only sand. No, it's like a river. But if you go there, you don't see water. It's just sand. So it looks like dry. But if you push your hand within the sand, you will find water underneath the sand. Similarly, Falgu Vairagya means the so-called sannyasi, they have taken the dress of renunciated order, but within their heart, they have got all desires to fulfill within the heart. If you push your hand within his heart, you will find he has got all desires for material enjoyment. That is called Falgu Vairagya. On the surface there is no water, sand, there's only sand, but within him, there's a flow of water going on. That's the analogy given there. So externally maybe it looks very paka, but if you go a little deeper inside, there's many desires. So, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very heavy on this pretension, if someone is pretending. And Rupa Goswami, Mahaprabhu teach, and Rupa Goswami then took the teachings of Mahaprabhu and established the Yukta Vairagya. Yukta means true, the right Vairagya. Arashaktasya Vishayam Yaturham Upunjatam Nirabanda Krishna Sambande Yuktam Vairagya Mujjate. So things should be accepted for the Lord's service and not for one's personal sense gratification. If one accepts something without attachment and accepts it because it is in relation to Krishna, one's renunciation is called Yukta Vairagya. So the point is that we don't have to artificially renounce things in this world, but we use it in Krishna service. And that's basically the change of identity. That's kind of the crucial, essential point, that for a Vaishnava there is neither Bhoga nor Tyaga. There is no enjoyment, there is no renunciation, because he understands Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and the supreme controller and proprietor, and I'm simply a servant of Krishna. And if I have really realized that identity as a true servant of Krishna, then I understand that nothing is meant for my enjoyment, because everything is meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. Nothing belongs to me, because everything belongs to Krishna. And then there will be a natural renunciation. And then whatever I see around me, I see it as part of Krishna, Krishna's energy. That's why it needs to be engaged in Krishna's energy. And Prabhupada says, in the description of the nectar of devotion, one should not give up anything that can be utilized in the service of the Lord. That is the secret of devotional service. And Prabhupada says, we must accept it. That's interesting. And Prabhupada gives the example of the typewriters, dictating machines, tape recorders, microphones, airplanes, which Prabhupada used to spread Krishna consciousness. So our vision is that Krishna is everything, Krishna is the cause and effect, and nothing belongs to us. Krishna things must be used in his service. That's our vision. And that's quite because usually in spiritual circles there is always this understanding of renunciation, giving up. But in Krishna consciousness we understand we can use it in Krishna's service. Of course, Gorkishore Das Babaji was a person who literally gave up everything. He was really the Vairagya Murtaye. So we may not be able to, and that's the ultimate stage in a sense. If you're so much absorbed in pure love of God, then you basically completely give up everything and you just focus on that eternal bhajan. But for most of us who still live in this material world, we might be, using this world and engaging the things in this world in the service of Krishna, and in this way renounce the world. And then slowly we can actually renounce more and more. Okay, Hare Krishna. Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Any questions or comments?
У меня есть два вопроса по теме контроля ума.
There are two questions about controlling the mind.
Вы могли бы описать признаки того человека, который уже обуздал свой ум?
Could you describe some signs of the person who already kept his mind, like urge of mind, who controls his mind?
Потому что я слышал такое мнение, что по поводу воспевания мантры, что мантры нужны.
Such thought that about chanting the mantra.
Для того, чтобы обуздать ум, но не для того, чтобы развить отношения с Богом.
That mantra is required to control the mind and not for having relationship with God.
Это второй момент, который тоже хотелось бы услышать. Почему мы воспеваем Харе Кришна?
Ты искажаешь.
Why do we chant Hare Krishna?
Why do we chant Hare Krishna? Like whether it's meant for mantra, manatraya, controlling the mind, or whether it's meant to awaken the people of God. Is that the question? What's the question? Whether we chant the mantra for controlling of mind or because of awakening?
It was like opinion that we first chant mantra to control our mind, but it doesn't help to control to have a relationship with God. This mantra.
So there was an opinion of someone, you said?
Yes. Actually, it is more like to describe for some new people.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, when we speak of mantra meditation, then yes, we say mantra. The word mantra comes from mana, traya, that which frees the mind. And certainly the mantra, Maha Mantra, is also a mantra that can free the mind. And in that way, it's true that the mantra can help us. But the mantra is not an ordinary mantra, but it's also a name. It's the holy name of Krishna, and that name is not different from the Lord. And the ultimate goal, of course, of the name is to reawaken our original pure love of God. Right?
Хочется услышать признаки обуздания ума.
What are signs of a person who already controls the mind?
What are the signs of a person who already controls the mind?
Yes.
That would be an entirely different lecture. But if you like, you can, because Arjuna is asking the same question. Alright? In 254, Arjuna is asking, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk? This is 254. So Arjuna is asking, what are the symptoms of someone who has controlled his mind, who is fixed in the consciousness? And then Krishna answers. So you can read Shloka 55 till 72 and you get some answers. Time is up. We can discuss another time. Okay, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Krishna Premarupa Dasa, Lord Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Now everybody can go and feast on the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Stacja Baśnia, Stacja Baśnia. Aber Stadt, als bei der anderen Stadt es nicht, jetzt steht es explizit, ich weiss nicht genau. Ja, vermute mal, bei der anderen Stadt, das auch Europa gesagt. Vermute mal, das ist schwierig. ich mal ins Truck. Du bist da schon über den großen Level. Das war mehr für den Pöbel.
It's like the beginning of Krishna Premarupa.
Ну, Гита Джаянти тоже.
But Gita Jayanti is later.
Кришна же сказал об этом перед началом.
And Krishna told about Bhagavad Gita
Перед началом
before beginning of this Kurukshetra battle. He didn't hear anything about this, or he might hear. Honestly.
Ну, если просто подумал.
So what to do when we don't understand sometimes some things they are not match. Prabhuji asked this samadhi of Gaurkishore Das Babaji in Vrindavan, in Mayapur, but he left the body in Mayapur, yes?
Good question.
Вроде как написано, что он послал это
Я был выше на самадхи.
He was on samadhi in Mayapur.
Yeah, I mean, samadhi is in Navadvip.
Hare